Back here on HQ Spotlight. So we did the AFC North. Now we're going to do the AFC South schedule breakdown. It's been a pretty winnable division over the past few seasons, maybe with the exception of the Texans. They're trying to win it once again. Got a new head coach, some new weapons for Trevor Lawrence in Duval County. The Colts, we know it's a little bit of a QB battle there. Definitely not a QB battle in Tennessee because it's a new era when it comes to their quarterback. Cam Ward, the #1 overall pick under center, will try to flip that franchise around. And we have Bryant McFadden and Tyler Sullivan here with us to break down the AFC South, and we are starting with the Houston Texans. Most of the roster, gentlemen, it's probably one of the most complete in football, aside from maybe up front, some holes, some problems there. They opened the season on the road with a major test in the Rams. So, B-Mac, kick us off. How many wins are we seeing here? What's the schedule prediction when it comes to C.J. Stroud and Houston?
Another double-digit win season for DeMeco Ryans. He's done a phenomenal job since becoming the head coach down there in the Lone Star State. You talked about that intriguing matchup. Like I said, week 1 is the week of unknowns. In the National Football League, you're traveling out to visit the Rams, a playoff caliber team. I see that as a loss. But the thing about that stretch of games after week 1, you go into a three-game homestand against the likes of Tampa, Jacksonville, and Tennessee. So that's an opportunity to get right, especially being there in your backyard. So I see them getting off to a nice winning streak in those 3 ball games. Losing to Baltimore is something about Baltimore and the Houston Texans where they don't have an answer for Lamar Jackson. I see that as a loss. But in all, when you look at the entire schedule, guys, it's not a difficult gauntlet, especially when you look at the divisional foes within their division, the AFC South. I see them as the cream of the crop in that division. So I go 11-6 for their overall win-loss record.
Yeah, we're right in the same spot. I'm 10-7. I think they win this division. My question is Houston, is the narrative going to be they're a good team, but they're not a great team? They can beat up on bad competition, but they struggle against the elite. I think that's kind of going to be the theme here, and that's where I have them when I'm going through this record. I think they lose to a team like the Rams. I think they lose to a team like the Ravens, both on the road. I think they lose to Buffalo, and then I think they beat up on their division opponents. So I think they're going to be somewhere in the middle here. It's going to help get them to double-digit wins, but overall, I'll have my questions going into the playoffs if they can really hang with some of the elite in the conference.
Okay, so it's a consensus double-digit win season for the Texans. Now let's go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They play 4 of their first 6 games at home in Duval, including a Monday Night Football matchup against the Chiefs. Welcome to Jacksonville, Taylor Swift. They have a new head coach in Liam Cohen. We got Travis Hunter and BTJ. But still, Tyler, you are not a believer in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Tell us why.
I know. I said it before you went on. I go, you're not going to like me this segment because, I have them at 6-11. I don't know if they're going to be a good football team in terms of putting up wins. I think they're going to be fun. I think they're going to be high flying. I think that when we put Liam Cohen in as head coach, I think he's going to put the best out in Trevor Lawrence in terms of production. I think that Bryant Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, I think all of that's going to be fun. I still have my questions about the defensive side of the ball. They were able to acquire Jordan Lewis to help the secondary. I don't know necessarily how they're going to use Travis Hunter. I think that's one of the big questions. Is he going to minor on offense and major on defense, or vice versa? And I think that's going to be kind of a key scenario here, because if you're telling me he's a Heisman-winning cornerback in the NFL, well, that helps you tremendously for a defense that struggled to get off the field last year. But overall, you look at the start of this season for the Jacksonville Jaguars, it is a bit of a gauntlet. I think they win out of the gate, but then at the Bengals, the Texans, the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Seahawks, which I think they win, but then the Rams before they hit the bye. Those are a lot of losses right out of the chute there. I think they wrap up the season nicely, but overall, that start really puts them behind the 8 ball.
But Tyler, you said 6-11. Jacqueline, I do one better than Tyler. I go 7-10. This is a figure-it-out type year for Jacksonville, like figuring what this entire new team is going to look like, trying to figure out, will we see a consistent stride from their star quarterback in Trevor Lawrence? And most importantly, can Trevor Lawrence stay healthy? But if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, I think it's safe to say you don't have championship-like aspirations right now. You just want to see a competitive nature, a competitive culture being built, and being able to build upon that year after year. To be able to get to that level where you actually have legit playoff championship aspirations, and this is the first step in trying to do so. Clearly, winning more games than a year ago is a must, and I have them doing that, winning 7 games and losing 10.
You know what, B-Mac? Usually I would agree with you, but it's May 16th, so I am in that delusion. Like
the bar low is what B-Mac said.
No, I'm like, I do have championship aspirations because I'm delusional right now because it's May. But, you know, hey, after the home opener against the Panthers, maybe reality will start to set in, you know? Let's go to the Colts because we've heard that Daniel Jones and AR, they're going to be splitting those first-team reps. It's Shane Steichen entering year 3. The Colts, hey, if you're a Colts fan, maybe grab that passport. You're going to Berlin for the NFL's first game in that city. So, B-Mac, is this a playoff team? What are your thoughts? It kind of feels like no, but when you're looking at the schedule, where are you at on Indy?
Well, number one, no. As I see it today, they're not a playoff caliber team. Secondly, who will be the starting quarterback? Not only being the starting quarterback week 1, Tyler, but who will be the starting quarterback throughout the year? Will that starting quarterback week 1, will he have the flexibility to have room for error, or will he have a short leash? We don't know. But one thing we do know, this is a roster that they have talent in different areas of their team, and I think that's good enough regardless of who the quarterback is, Tyler, to win at least 7 ball games. Best case scenario for me, I have the Colts going 7-10. Jacqueline, I will re-answer your question again. No, they're not a playoff caliber team. They're ways away from being that, but I think they can be more of a competitive team, and that starts and it stops with whoever the quarterback will be for their offense.
Yeah, I agree with you, B-Mac, that they're not a playoff team, and I disagree because I think it's a 5-12 football team because I have so many questions about the quarterback room. I like what they did this offseason in adding Tyler Warren for a tight end position that was desperately lacking a pass catcher last year. They helped the secondary with Travarius Ward and Cam Bynum to really bolster that weakness on their roster. But I still don't know what it's going to look like under center. Like, there's a quarterback competition where there's a scenario where Daniel Jones wins. Is a Colts fan supposed to be excited about that outcome if Daniel Jones takes the preseason by storm and wins the starting job? No, you want it to be Anthony Richardson. But right now, Anthony Richardson last season completed 48% of his passes. So we don't really know what kind of production, what kind of efficiency they're going to get under center. And you look at this schedule after the bye week, it's at Kansas City, the Texans, the Jaguars, the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Jaguars again, and then at Texans to round off the year. The tough opponents in the AFC, division rivals. That's really going to be tough. Maybe they split with Jacksonville, but outside of that, I don't see a lot of wins to end the season here for Indianapolis.
All right, finally, let's go to the Tennessee Titans, where it is Cam Ward's time to shine here. They have a tough test, week 1, traveling to Denver to face the Broncos. Tyler, what is the prediction here for Tennessee?
It's 4-13. This team is going to be picking very high in the NFL draft next spring. They're in a transition year with Cam Ward as their quarterback. The big thing for me is, do they have enough around him? And quickly, the answer is no. They spent $82 million on Dan Moore to be his blindside tackle. Last year, Dan Moore let up 12 sacks. Looking at PFF, that ranked 140th out of 140. That is not the way that you protect your number 1 overall pick, your asset of the future. So I have a lot of questions about the team around Cam Ward, and the schedule is going to be tough there as well. So again, I think this team's going to be picking high in the draft next year.
You talked about the schedule. They start against Denver, the Rams, Indy, Houston, Arizona, and then they have a middle stretch of New England, Indy, Chargers, Houston, Seattle. Yeah, they're going to be picking in the top 5 again for sure. I have them going 5-12. Best case scenario. Best case scenario, 5-12. But more realistically speaking, I think they're right around that area that you talked about, Tyler. It's going to be a long year for Tennessee, but I think they kind of expect that as well.
Yeah, and the win total on FanDuel sitting right there at 5.5. B-Mac, Tyler, we certainly appreciated that full schedule breakdown for the AFC South. Looking at the odds to win the division, the Texans, they are the favorites. The Jags at plus 270. I kind of like that value. I'm not hating it.
Underdog mentality. That's
exactly.
it.
A little chip on her shoulder.
Just sneak
Colts
in there and take the whole thing.
Yeah, they're 3-1, and the Titans, of course, the long shot at 8-1.